So Josh, some Quins fans and some Saints fans aside, this is the final that everybody wanted. Spurs Stadium, a sellout, 2 Rugby Galacticos, 9 stars across your 2 jerseys. How do you feel sat there right now?
Yeah, it's exactly where we'd want to be. You kind of know when you get to a final, you're going to be playing one of the best teams, but probably the best team in the competition, and I think that's definitely the case for us this time. Toulouse, the form side in Europe, and they've been absolutely brilliant. So no better team to be playing, and very, very excited for it.
On a personal level, we know that you love this competition. You've got the Player of the Year trophy to prove that, but you've never been on the pitch when Leinster have won it. So how high up the Josh van der Flier bucket list would that be?
Yeah, it's very, very high up there now. It was obviously, I was a part of the squad. I played all the group games in 2018, but it doesn't feel quite the same if you didn't play the knockout games, and especially being there for a final as well is it's kind of what you dream about, being on the field when you get to win a trophy. So yeah, it's very high up on my motivation list, I guess. But yeah, it's one of those, we've obviously come close the last 2-3 years, but yeah, looking excited and not really feeling too much pressure for it, to be honest. Just looking forward to getting out there and trying to put in as good a performance as we can.
You're very into your sports psychology. You've studied it. Are you a big visualisation man? Have you taken yourself to Tottenham yet and thought about what it might feel like?
Yeah, I do a good bit of visualisation, probably more so individual parts of the game,
right,
rather than the stadium. I kind of do that a bit more on captain's run day when we get to walk around the stadium. But yeah, I find visualisation brilliant. It kind of it's a way of training and getting, I suppose, repetitions of like say a pass or a tackle or whatever. You can do all those things in your head, and you can do them perfectly, which you probably can't always. Like in my head, I can visualize that I burn the winger on the outside, but it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen too often in reality. But yeah, no, I find visualization. It's a huge part of my preparation going into each week, and definitely I find it beneficial.
It's been quite the campaign for Leinster, beating La Rochelle, beating them again for good measure, 82,000 at Croke Park. But what's been your personal highlight of this one?
It'd have to be between the two you mentioned there, between the quarter-final against La Rochelle. That was obviously, having lost them the last couple of years, that was obviously a pretty pleasing one. But I'd say most of all playing in Croke Park. I was there in 2007, was it? I think it was 2007 when Ireland played there. Ireland played France there. I was at that, or Ireland played England. I was at that game. And that was a pretty special, good win. I still remember it so well. And it's obviously such a historic stadium as well. Never thought I'd ever have the chance to play there. I've been there loads of times for concerts, football games, hurling matches as well. So it's like such a special stadium. Never thought I'd get to play there, and getting to play there was incredibly special. It nearly wasn't a great day. It was pretty close at the end, but yeah, thankfully it was a day I'll look back on with a lot of joy.
Those 2 wins over Ronan O'Gara's side, just how important did they feel in terms of getting the monkey off your back, and also, I imagine on a personal level, really satisfying?
Yeah, definitely. They're La Rochelle are a brilliant side. Obviously, they've won the tournament the last 2 years. They've been absolutely brilliant, really well coached, brilliant players, and it's obviously a huge challenge. Anytime you play a team like that and win it, it means a huge amount, and particularly having lost to them in the final the last 2 years. So it probably made it that bit more special to win those games. And I think I even remember just in the roar of the crowd and everything, it obviously meant a good bit more than a usual game to all the supporters as well, because obviously it's probably a bit of hurt that comes with having played La Rochelle before. So yeah, it was a nice couple of games to be a part of. But I suppose what's important, I suppose, and what we talked about after that game is that, yeah, it's obviously means a lot to us to win, but I suppose it's not the end goal is to obviously get to a final and win a final. So that's kind of where we're at.
They're not just the side that have thwarted you the last 3 Champions Cups, La Rochelle, but they've also, in doing so, fed into this narrative which is built up that Leinster are accurate and threatening and clinical and your systems are amazing, but you can be beaten up sometimes by the bigger teams. Did it feel really important ahead of taking on a side as huge as Toulouse that you proved that you really could muscle up when it matters most?
I suppose that's probably the narrative I've heard a few times, probably, but
you're welcome to disagree with that.
I wouldn't. I think rugby's one of those games no matter who you play, if you don't match the other team physically, at least match them or do better than them, you'll probably lose. And I think it's probably we've shown over the entire time I've been at the club, we've been able to play against teams and we've gone really well against those bigger teams. We played Montpellier a heap of times over the last few years, and they were probably one of the biggest teams you ever come across. Yeah. And we probably lost them a couple of times, beaten them more recently. So we've definitely proved we can do it, but then obviously there's been a few games where we've lost. So it's just one of those things. It's obviously the bigger the opposition, the better quality of the opposition, the harder it is to win those physical battles. But we've always known we could do it. But it's I suppose it's good to kind of, I think it's good to prove people wrong, I suppose, in some ways. And it's definitely never been a thing within Leinster, within the team that we've ever believed. We've always believed we're good enough, able to be physical enough, and there's probably just been a few games where we probably haven't been as good as we could be physically, and then we've lost those, and I suppose that's where that narrative comes from. But I suppose within the team we're pretty confident and happy with our ability to be physical.
Do you relish that on an individual level? As someone who, when they first burst onto the scene, people might have thought, is he big enough to play back row at top levels? You then went away, worked incredibly hard and have turned into one of the most destructive carriers on the planet. Do you love the opportunity to roll up your sleeves and get stuck into rugby's behemoths? Yeah,
I do, yeah. It's, I think I'm well used to it at this stage. I was probably growing up, I was always the smallest on the team. Probably why I ended up playing scrum half till I was around 15 or so. Then went into the back row because I was playing too many rucks. So I was always kind of enjoyed getting stuck in, but I was never the biggest. And I kind of find now any team I'm in, I always seem to be the smallest forward or the lightest forward. But it's been good for my game, though. It means I have to adapt. You have to be probably better technically than other people. If you're going into contacts, you have to either have a bit of footwork or a good change up into contact, or hand off, or throw a dummy, or you have to be a bit more creative, I suppose. You can't just run straight at people and expect to run them over. So definitely had to adapt my game a little bit to react to that. But I've always enjoyed it's probably why I ended up going from scrum half to back row all those years ago. Just enjoy getting stuck in and like those physical battles.
It's the size of the fight in the dog, right? Not the other way around.
Exactly, yeah.
And you had loads of energy as a kid. I think I've read you saying it was the perfect sport for you, rugby. So made to be a back rower.
Definitely, yeah. I had, my mum would always send us outside, me and my brother, outside, let off some steam, do a few tackles in the garden or something. So it was always, I suppose, an outlet for energy, which is pretty good. Good game for that. So yeah. Always enjoyed it.
An outlet that's worked for 25 years as well. She was on to a winner with that.
Yeah.
You're welcome to disagree with me on this one, but I look at Leinster's setup, the programme, the squad, and the huge success of Ireland's national side, and wonder why perhaps you haven't added quite as many trophies to the cabinet downstairs over the last few years as you might expect. Is that a conversation you have in-house here at Dublin?
Probably not something it's probably something we talk about at the start. We talk about at the start of the year. We kind of set our goals out for the year. What do we want to achieve? And I think the standard is everyone loves winning here. It's a real high performing kind of culture we try to create, and everyone wants to win. If we won one trophy last year, we'd probably be a bit disappointed in some way. You're obviously pleased with the things that go well, but you want to win the 2 trophies, and I think that's probably ingrained in the nature of everyone here. I think 2018 everyone was pretty happy because we won the double. Other than that, anytime we've won the league and not the European Cup, there's kind of been like a bit of disappointment there. So I think anytime we don't probably play to our best and win the double, there'll always be a bit of disappointment. And obviously that's being realistic. You're not going to win the double every. You know what I mean? Sure. It's obviously, but that's kind of the standard that everyone holds themselves to. So I suppose you say you mentioned we'd probably rather a few more trophies, but yeah, every year we're kind of the standard is set that we want to win both, and anytime you don't achieve that, there's always a bit of disappointment. But definitely, there's definitely the drive there, but also everyone's realistic as well that it is an incredibly hard thing to do to win any trophy. There's a lot of good teams we play against, especially in the league, having the South African teams coming in now as well, and South African teams coming into Europe as well. You're playing against the best teams in Europe and part of the Southern Hemisphere as well. So it's obviously a huge challenge, and it's something we relish the challenge of.
It's a lot of pressure, but I imagine you wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be the same reward, I suppose, if you got it the easy way. If you get an easy draw and things where you get handed by default something happens and you get given the trophy, it's just not the same thing. So doing it the hard way, playing the best team, I suppose in Toulouse this weekend, it's exactly where you want to be. They're the teams you want to do it against, the best teams. So yeah, it's exciting.
You've lost a Johnny around these parts over the last 12 months, but you've gained a Jacques. What is Coach Nienaber like?
Oh, he's brilliant. Yeah, he's a great coach. You can kind of see from the way he coaches and the way he is why South Africa have been so successful with him coaching. He's an all-round great guy. First of all, a really good guy to have around, and I suppose the biggest thing for me is I think obviously technically, in terms of his technical coaching, he's as good as you get. He's a brilliant defensive coach, and the wisdom he brings with that as well is brilliant. But I think the way he gets the players playing for him as well is brilliant. He's really he's positive. You want to play for him. He doesn't. He's not so hard on you if you make a mistake. It's all positive. It's kind of how can we get better rather than you're not doing this well kind of thing. So he's been brilliant. I found him really, really good for my game, and as a team, I think we've really grown a lot under him as well. So he's been brilliant to have him in.
How does the South African sense of humour sit with the Irish one? What are the personality clashes like, or the personality chemistries?
He gets on brilliantly with everyone. I think. There's a few times I think his first language is Afrikaans, so it's not English. There's a few times we say things and he's like, "What did you say there?" So there's definitely, and obviously the Irish lingo as well. There's always bits of lingo which he might not understand, but then as well, I suppose the same way he sometimes says something in Afrikaans and you'd be kind of wondering what he's saying to you. But he seems to get on really well with everyone. All the lads love him, and we're very, very lucky to have him here.
Do you think he could be the missing piece come Saturday, the cherry on top that gets you over the line?
I think so, yeah. Well, he's made our team much, much better. Obviously, it was a big change. Stuart Lancaster was a very different coach. He did a lot more attack. He did a mixed attack and defence. Jacques is mainly defence and oversees the whole thing. So very different coaches, but he's been brilliant for us. And I think one thing is that I've learned a lot from him is his attitude towards knockout games, and obviously the success he's had with South Africa in those knockout games and winning those tight games. It's kind of what it all comes down to, because it's always small margins that when you look back on any tournament, there's always one game that a few moments go the other way and it's different results. So he's been great for those kind of things. So yeah, hopefully his addition will go well for us.
But hopefully, unlike the Springboks, you'll win by more than one.
Exactly, that'd be nice. Yeah. I think all the supporters' hearts after the semi-final don't need another close one. So, yeah, we'll see how we get on.
So you don't just have a Jacques, you have a Jameson who is playing rugby from a different planet right about now. Is it fair to say that Saturday will be the best 2 nines in the world going at it?
I'd say for sure, yeah. Obviously Dupont has he's kind of been in and out with the 7s and stuff. So, but Jameson is he's playing. I don't know how he does. What he does. He's, in fairness, the things you see on the field and the unbelievable tries he's scoring, the line breaks, the brilliant passes, he does them every day in training, and he's been doing them for years like that. So it's no surprise to any of us. Jamison's one of those guys who you throw him a football and he's like unbelievable with a football. You give him a hurl and a sliotar, and he's brilliant with that as well. He's never touched him in his life. So he's one of those incredibly gifted athletes, and he's also just an all-round good guy, so it's good to see him playing so well.
So if I offered you a Dupont for Saturday, you wouldn't take it, you'd stick with the scrum half?
No, I'd stick with Jamison, yeah, for sure.
You said that really fast.
Yeah.
Given that the core of these 2 teams is the French national side and the Irish national side, is it fair to say that there's a shared hunger this season, a desire to park World Cup heartbreaks, explode from the traps and kickstart the new cycle with some silverware? Will there be a bit of an edge to Saturday, do you think, as a result?
I think there always is. I think regardless of the internationals, the French internationals playing for them, Irish internationals playing for us, I think we've played Toulouse as a club enough times over the last few years. They're the team now. They have five European Cups. They're the team everyone chases over the last, well, whatever it is, 25 years since the European Cup's been going, or more maybe. So they're the team to be chasing. So I think regardless of the international, that obviously for individuals can add another bit, but I think there'll be enough of an edge there. I think looking at Toulouse, we've obviously probably beaten them a good bit the last 2-3 years. We've knocked them out a couple of times out of Europe, so I think there's no shortage of motivation from their point of view, I'm sure, and then obviously the same for us with the way the last few years have gone for us, so it's should make for a tasty game.
Who do you think wants it more?
I'd like to think we do. I think it's obviously a hard thing to do, but I'd say both teams equally. I think it means everything to both teams. I think the attitude you see Toulouse come in with to Europe, you can tell they love playing in the competition, and it means a huge amount to them, and I think the same here. Pretty much everything revolves around the European Cup, and we have the league obviously, which is good. Is the knockouts for the league are after this, so it's good, so we can fully focus on, I suppose we've on the European Cup, and it means everything to this club really. So it'll be two highly motivated teams going at it.
And just lastly, and perhaps most importantly, who's going to be along supporting you on Saturday? And namely, is Grandfather George making the journey?
He won't be able to make it over, unfortunately. It's just probably be a bit too much for him with the travel and everything. But so I have my parents, my wife, my siblings. They're all pretty much getting over for the game, so should be very exciting. I think everyone. I have my cousins living over in London as well, so they're all, anyone who can make it is going pretty much. So
phone's been ringing all week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it should be an exciting one.
Certainly should. Thank you so much, Josh.
No worries. Thank you.